Well, it is almost Christmas, right? Less than 2 weeks. Your house is decorated if your family does that. Maybe you have a tree, you got ornaments up, you have your, if you're like me, when I was in middle school and high school, you have your want list on the fridge, hoping your parents will take note of what you want. And school is almost out, so ready for a break, and so excited. There are all kinds of things to be excited about during this holiday season, just like this guy.
Time for the announcement. Okay, people, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Santa's coming to town. Santa here? I know him. I know him. He'll be here to take pictures with all the children. Just keep to the seats. 10 a.m. tomorrow.
10 a.m. tomorrow.
Santa's coming to town.
Yes. Santa's coming. Oh, great.
Santa's coming.
I bet the outtakes from that scene have got to be amazing. I don't even know, how would they even make it through that scene with Will Ferrell? He is so funny. Well, I can totally understand that kind of excitement, because that's how I feel when I go to Jen's parents' house. Jen, my sweet wife, her family is so cool. Her dad, Ron, he's a crazy man. He makes homemade peanut butter brittle or peanut brittle. Oh my gosh, so good. And then her mom makes this awesome Chex Mix that we all love. Just being together, family, there's always snow. It is the best. I love this time of year. So if I asked you, what is the real reason for Christmas, you all would say, right, the ultimate Sunday answer, right? Jesus, right? So we all know that the real answer is Jesus, that Jesus is the reason for the season, or as we're talking about today, he's the source of joy for this season. But often, I don't know if that's the way that we live. That oftentimes, as much as we would like to think that Jesus is the center of this holiday season, that usually, if we're honest, we put ourselves in that area. I know when I was in middle school and high school, for me, even though I went to church and I loved all the church things and I was a Christian, the real highlight for me around the season is, what will my parents buy me for Christmas? And I didn't intentionally mean to put myself in the center of Christmas. I just did. It was so natural. And I remember even really hurting my dad's feelings because I was so centrally focused. I asked my parents for this jacket. Like, a lot of you guys feel like you have to have the right shoes for school or the right whatever for school. For me, growing up, all the cool kids in school had these things called starter jackets. They were amazing. And so I asked my parents for one. And so then when I unwrapped my gift, I saw the starter jacket, but my dad bought the wrong one. And I was such a dork. I was so disappointed that my dad felt bad enough to where he's like, okay, well, we'll just take it back and we'll exchange it for the one that you want. And of course, I was like, inside I knew, that's stupid. I should just enjoy this jacket. But I was so lame, I'm like, okay, thanks, Dad. No, I was so stupid, right? Totally put myself in the center of the holiday season. Well, today, we're going to talk about a guy who's just like that. You know, the hard part is when we focus so much of Christmas on ourselves, we forget to find joy in the real source of Christmas. So we're going to talk about a guy today that we never talk about during the Christmas season, but he's a huge part of the Christmas story. And this guy is a really bad guy. Not like Wreck-It Ralph bad guy, like really, really bad guy. His name is King Herod. And this guy was so bad, he was so insecure about being king, he was so worried about people overtaking his throne that he killed his father-in-law, he killed his brother-in-law, he was married to 10 wives, he had 10 wives and he killed a couple of them, and then he killed 2 of his own sons because he was so worried. This guy, his whole idea was he wanted to be the center of everything. And back when Jesus came here to earth and was born, he was not happy that someone else was taking his place as the king of the Jews. So we're going to talk about this story today. So when I thought about villains, trying to think of someone that, like, who would King Herod would be like, I thought about what's the worst Disney villain. Do you know who this person is? Do you even know her name?
Mother Gothel.
Yeah, good night. This lady, I think, is the worst of all of them because she abducted a kid, kept that kid in prison, made her keep her hair and never cut it just so she could retain her beauty. What kind of horrible person does that? I mean, that is really wicked. But yet, King Herod was 1,000,000 times, 10 times worse than Mother Gothel. He was a bad guy, like bad, right? So let's pick up this story. It says, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi, so Magi were the wise men. They were guys that often people would consult for advice and get ideas from. So these Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him. When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. For him, he's like, what new king, right? There's no new king. What new king are you talking about? At least it's what he's thinking to himself, right? Because he's not going to let, if he's willing to kill his own children, his wives, his father-in-law, brother-in-law, he's not going to let any baby get in his way. So Herod comes up with a plan. He's got a plan. Check it out. Oh, sorry. Here's King Herod with the 3 wise men and whole picture of what someone thought it might have been like. So then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me so that I too may go and worship him, right? What a nice guy. No, of course that's not what he's going to do, right? So in a dream, an angel told the wise men what Herod was doing. He told them to leave. And then another angel told Joseph and Mary to leave. So this is a painting of them fleeing out of there. There's Mary and Jesus and some old guy. Do you know who that old guy is? You're thinking, like, must be her dad, right? No, that's Joseph. So Joseph was an older guy when they got married. So that's more of what Joseph looks like than what we usually think. So they get out of there, right? Well, Herod is beside himself. He cannot believe that he was tricked. And so he comes up with one more plan, the worst one ever, that he's still going to get rid of this new king. Here's his plan. When Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious. And he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. You know, we don't talk about the bloodshed that surrounds the Christmas story and the heartache and loss that all these family members went through. I mean, this guy was willing to do whatever he had to do because he did not want someone else to be the center or to be the king. He was going to be the king. And so when it comes to Jesus, you see that in this story we have 2 different perspectives. You have the shepherds, when they hear about this Messiah, for them it is this exciting, wonderful news, right? But for Herod, when he finds out about it, it's the worst news ever, right? So for him, often, you know, for us, it's like for Herod, it's like it's about us, it's about me. For these guys, it's about Jesus. And for Herod, he felt frustration, disappointment, you know, that this was going to take place. And then for the shepherds, they felt joy and celebration. They were excited about this. So for us, a lot of times when we approach Christmas, when we approach it, when Christmas is centered around us, for us, it creates this really frustrating and disappointing thing that you never get exactly what you want, or never, the experience is never going to be as great. Something's always going to be wrong. But when we focus it on Jesus, just like for the wise men, he was everything for them. It was a reason for joy, for celebration. So that's our challenge for you guys today. The idea here is that Jesus is the reason for the joy of Christmas, that he is it. Unlike Herod, to be more like the Magi, the wise men, to be thinking, man, this is awesome. Because placing ourselves at the center of the story really causes us to miss on what Christmas is all about and what matters most. And so this is our challenge to you is number one, I want to challenge you to identify what you think about most during Christmas. So this could be anything. It could be what you think about most is what you're hoping you're going to get. Could be looking forward to the break. Could be being with your family, being together. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. So please know that. So just know, what do I think about most during Christmas time? And then number two, change your focus to Jesus. Change your focus to Jesus. So I really want to encourage you. You guys are middle schoolers. You're not little kids anymore. Sometime during this Christmas season, I would love for you to open up a Bible, read the start of Matthew or the start of Luke, and take some time to celebrate what Jesus has done, what God has done in reading the Christmas story. Take time to pray, to listen, to journal maybe, to do something to where you're doing something intentionally to focus on Jesus during this season. And I think you'll find when you do that, life is better for you. When Jesus is at the center of our Christmas, it makes anything worthwhile. It means that we have hope through this thing. We have hope through Jesus, hope in God through Jesus. It means that when you don't get exactly what you wanted, it's okay, because Jesus is the center of what Christmas is and not you. When your Christmas holiday is not going as great as you want or wasn't as exciting as you thought it would be, it's okay when Jesus is at the center. Or maybe when your family's not getting along and it's very, very stressful, you can still find joy in Christmas because of Jesus when you're not at the center. So the big idea today, Jesus is the reason for the joy of Christmas. We're going to have you guys get into small groups, and in that small group, we're going to have you ask this question: how might my Christmas be different if I focused on Jesus rather than myself? All right? We'll give you 2 minutes, and then we'll be right back into small groups.
Hey.
We're not having a better timer.
Hey.
You want to turn it off?
Yeah. Us.